Hey everyone, welcome to Dating God's
Hey
Way
guys.
on a good old Tuesday night. Hey,
Oh
daughter
yeah.
Michelle, and we have a live studio audience with us in the building tonight. Y'all just make some noise in the background. All right. Yes. So coming live from our Dating God's Way studios.
Hey.
I would like
Hey.
to welcome all of y'all that's joining the stream, all of y'all that's joining the stream, from whether you from Facebook. Hey, what's up, brother Law? Brother Law in the
Hey.
house.
Whoop whoop.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm going to pin our chat line if you'd want to come in here on Dating God's Way and be a guest tonight, have questions or anything like
Yeah.
that, and you more than welcome to come online. We can do voice only if you're not if you don't want to be on camera. Okay,
Yeah.
and so so Dating God's Way, tonight. You all see the title, you all see what we working with.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into um careers and relationships, right? How our career and relationships mesh. Hey Tiana, hey daughter.
Yeah. Career
Kanisha on board,
goals. Yeah.
Sarah, yeah, career goals,
Yeah.
careers and relationships. Um, it's going to be pretty funny. I'll reserve some of the other things I have on my mind for
Ooh.
later
Father
about what
God.
we're going to bring up. Tonight is going to be I'm trying to get up some energy. I don't have a bottle of water, but I'm gonna try to stay energized. I'm gonna stay energized. I'm gonna try to come up higher than this. I'm
I got you.
gonna try to bring you some energy.
I have a special
Energy.
thing for this. No worries.
This discussion needs some energy. Because I mean, Pastor Ian and I, we are quasi career coaches. We're not official career coaches, but we are quasi career coaches in the sense of we kind of have an idea to help you get to where you want to get to. We can help, kind of help counsel you in careers in a way.
You are quasi. I'm an HR professional, so I'm a non-quasi. So I'm actually a real career coach.
No,
But
we
anyway,
yes. I'll anyway.
anyway.
I'm gonna keep
Ooh.
quasi. No, but we have coach. Hey, Kavan say, hey son.
Hey, son.
We have helped coach many into new places in their careers and
Absolutely.
help them discover things, maybe some avenues that they didn't know about. And I think some of the most important pieces, especially about career, is understanding that it takes patience. It's
Mm.
work with patience to help
Mhm.
you move in a career.
Yeah.
And sometimes the things that you're going after. Some things can happen expediently, and then some things just take time. I mean, I'm looking at the judge. Oh my goodness, why her name slipped my mind. The judge has been confirmed for the Supreme Court, and
Mhm.
just looking at her career, how she had to go through. She was a trial lawyer, she was a trial judge, Judge Jackson, Charlie Jackson Brown, I think it is.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
Brown
Jackson Brown.
Jackson, I believe. Brown
Yeah,
Jackson, I believe.
okay, yeah, but how how her career had to evolve at each step, starting from law school, and how her career had to evolve at each step to get her to this point of nomination to the Supreme Court, which will probably most likely be her last job interview she would ever have,
Wow.
because it's a lifetime appointment. You
Wow.
know, that's pretty serious, isn't
That's
it?
pretty serious.
This is her, and unless you want to do something else, unless you want to, and she's a young lady, and so unless you want to, drop it, and while if she can, and but anyway,
Yeah.
this could potentially be her last job interview ever.
Wow.
She can't be the only. She can be the only way you can be removed from Supreme Court is if you impeached, right?
Yeah.
So
Or die.
or death, right? I mean, of course, and that, of course, right? Um, you so dark tonight, so dark. Um, but but anyway,
Yeah.
even that, I'm sure she had to have a balance between her relationship and yes, son. Oh, my son is bringing me water. Throw it to me, son. Just toss it. Thank you. All right. My
Thank you,
sons are
Mom.
awesome. Thank you, son. Okay. And so what am I saying here is that at some point in your career and your relationship, they both will either merge or they can collide.
Collide. Yeah.
And so we want to I want to discuss this tonight, and I hope we could really do it some due diligence here and really provide some means of help. You want to say anything, E?
No, you're doing great. Yeah, I like that comment, the last comment that you made about how career can merge or collide within relationships. And I think that's really important. I think it's something that we don't talk about at all. Like, I don't really remember talking about this a lot in a whole context. Like, I know you and I talked about it a lot because it's something that you really cared about. But like, I didn't hear it from like premarital counseling or like any other place other than the conversation that we had. So I think this is an essential conversation and something that needs to be talked about. So thanks for coming up with the topics tonight.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna say this. I had to be careful. Um, many times what you put your energy to, what you put your time to, is what you're going to be good in, right? And so if you put your time and energy into a relationship, then you're going to be good in your relation. You're going to be good for your relationship. If you put your time and energy in your job, in your career development, you're going to be good at your job. You're going to be good in advancing in your career and everything. If you put your time and energy into ministry, you're going to be good in ministry. If you want to be a good evangelist, good pastor, good whatever, you're going to be really good at that. But here's the thing that I found out, E, is that as much as we multitask, it's hard to be good at everything. Something's going to lack. What you think about that?
I think that's true for some people. I think that some people are multifaceted, and I had our spiritual father, our combined spiritual father, one time say to me that that's something that specifically I think I've learned to master is doing multiple things at one time. So I think you do have people, some people can, but a lot of people cannot. So I think that is
No, it's not that you can't do, but you're not going to be um you're not going to be grade A plus in all those things that you're doing.
I think it's how you prioritize those things. I think that, you know, from my perspective, from me personally, right? I'm not talking about majority of people. I'll talk about me personally. I think that one of the things that I have valued is managing my time in a way to focus in on career, to focus in on being a homeschool mom, to focus in on being a wife, and to focus in on ministry. So I think it's a possibility. It depends on the person. I really believe that it's a possibility depending on the person. You can do all of those things well if you manage your time correctly.
Okay, we're gonna have to stick a pin in there because we have to come back to this
We sure do. Let's come back.
you and I can have a discussion on this one.
We can.
I think you
We
and I can
can.
have a discussion on this.
Yes, let's do it. Because doing something well relationally is not the same thing as doing a lot of things. So, for example, we'll talk about career really quickly, just to bring out your point is like, and a job in a position now where I am 20 plus years into my career. And so I don't have to work as hard as I did when I was an office manager, right? I don't have to work as when I was in director, getting promoted mode. Now that I'm an executive, I can work smarter, right? Other than working harder. And so I think that that's in all things. Our kids are different ages now. You know, there are different aspects that also have evolved time wise. So I think, yes, I it's not doing more things and doing all those things correctly. It's how you bring yourself to those things and how much you've given to those things that allow you to show up differently.
Yeah, but when you was doing all those things, even if you're doing them all at one time, something suffers.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something's going to suffer.
Sure. Yeah. Something suffers, but does it have to be one of those areas, or does it have to be certain things within those areas? Right? For example, let's just go ahead and be very transparent. You know, I'm not a cleaning person. Like, I never was. So it didn't matter if I had 18,000 things or not. Like, that's just something that I don't spend a lot of time on. I don't spend a lot of time like sweeping and mopping and boom, boom, boom. I wasn't doing that before we had 2 kids and I was an executive and ministry and all that. I wasn't. That's the answer.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it's like some things have to give. Yeah, some things have to give, but that's not one of the things that have to give. That's a choice. That's a choice I made.
No, but some things suffered.
Like what? Let's talk about it.
So, like,
we've been transparent. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so you know, in our relationship, you know, some things were neglected with us.
Hey,
and you know, as you grew in your career, you got better in your career, and and with kids, you know, I mean, maybe you didn't notice, but I took the hit.
Oh yeah, I saw when you took the hit, right? But remember, in those conversations we had about you taking the hit, you wanted me to grow in my career.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, something has to suffer, right? It was we communicated, but something suffered, right?
Yeah, something suffered for a time period.
Oh, right, for a time.
You're not still suffering, are you?
No, I'm not still
suffering.
Okay,
so look, I'm like, wait a minute. Make sure we do it like that. Hey, make sure we.
So I mean,
like this. Right. There is a time period, the growth time periods in these things when something does suffer.
Exactly.
So that's what I want to talk about, is like making sure we're clear on the stages.
Right. Okay.
Because when you blanket it to say like you can't do all things at one time,
I didn't say that. I didn't say you can't do all things at one time. I did not say that. I said doing all things at one time. That's something. You only got 100% of energy. You don't have 110 or 120%. You only have 100%. There are only 24 hours in a day, and you can't extend that no more.
You cannot expend all of them. But Pastor Will, Pastor Will, it is true that there are stages to this. And I think that that's what we learned last week of stages in dating. In the same way, there is stages to what we're talking about. You're in different modes of career, children, marriage, where things are more complicated, take more time, when what you say is true, but there should get a flow or rhythm to those things at some point where things aren't suffering anymore.
But that's what we have to talk about. I think that this is exactly what we have to talk about, is the expectations in these things, right?
Absolutely.
Because even no matter what stage you're in or what stage you go to, is that something will have to take the hit.
Yeah.
Something will have to take the hit. But you have to be in agreement with yourself first of what takes the hit.
Yeah.
You know, as I grew in our relationship, there was some family events that had to take the hit that I couldn't go to for the sake of we needed to prioritize. Thank you for that word. We needed to prioritize us.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Yes. I think, you know, is it taking the hit or is it reprocessing things in life? I think that there were definitely moments where we both took hits. right? Like Pastor Will is talking about my career move up was a point when he took it. And just so everybody's clear, that was 10, 12, how many years? Many years ago when I was in that phase of working. Hallelujah. Amen. Glad we over it. But that was 10 plus years ago when we were in that phase, right? What, and then there were also choices that we made. So I think that's one of the things to be clear about. Choices where we made where I took a hit, right? And so, it's like, is it taking a hit? It is taking a hit because sometimes the relationship suffers because of choices we make, whether it is moving up in your career and maybe you both decided that was true, but your relationship takes a hit. We had 2 kids, 1 year apart. So at one point we had babies, 2 babies in Pampers. Our relationship took a hit. Like it was just whoa, like that hit us differently. And so then there were things that, choice Pastor Will made that our relationship took a hit, right? I won't go all live with that one, but that, I took the hit on that one. And so I will say that, yes, I think there are things that happen to Nichelle's point that your relationship does take a hit, and then you have to adapt then to choices that you're making as a couple.
Yeah. You have to adapt. As a couple, you have to adapt. You have to come to terms.
Yeah, as a couple.
You have to come to terms at this is where we are. And but let's talk about, the beginning stages of a relationship. As you enter a relationship, I'm bringing my career, you bringing your career, or I'm bringing my goals, you bringing your goals.
Yeah.
How do I now process advancing my personal career advancements, my upward mobility in my career as I peruse this relationship?
Yeah, I think, when you talk about upward mobility, what about, I think, some of that in the beginning of our relationship was happening, right? Like I was going through some job changes when we first met up, right? And I do think that, I think a key point is remembering that, and I think I talked about this a little bit last week, is like you have a life already. That's the same with your career. Like you have a life already. And so a lot of people like stop their life in the dating stage. And that can't happen. You can't stop your career goals, your upward mobility in career, ministry. Any of those things shouldn't stop because you started dating. In the dating stages, that's the wrong time to stop, in my opinion. Would you say, Pastor?
Well, I'm reminded of Baby Boy.
Father.
Yvette had her career. She was working at the call center joint, and Jody was dropping her off. Right,
Father God.
Yvette never missed a day of work because Jody made sure that she was at.
Make sure she got to work so she can take care of
him. And Jody had no career ambitions. He had no career ambitions. He was,
but to be the baby boy.
Right? But the question is, and I think that bring up a good question, is like, I was fortunate to link up with you, one who had career ambitions. You had career ambitions.
For sure.
And that was one of the reasons why that we dated, that I dated you, because you were upward bound.
Go ahead, come on, Pastor. We like that. Go ahead. We like it. That's it. You saw me going somewhere.
Yeah, you were going somewhere, and I knew the one that I wanted to be with had to have career ambitions. They saw themselves being something. I didn't even know the term marketplace, but I knew that they needed to have a career.
Yeah, so I think what I hear you saying, Pastor Will, not this Yvette for sure. Not you. We ain't talking about you, Yvette. We talking about Yvette on Baby Boy, child. Oh, hallelujah. One of the things I hear you saying is you must be clear with your expectations. If you really desire a mate long term that has upward mobility, you need to be clear about that within yourself. But also, if you expect a certain lifestyle, you see, Pastor E knew my lifestyle. Okay. I know that I like to eat crabs every week now. Okay. And so I need a career that can hold up that type of lifestyle. And my expectation wasn't for Pastor Willie to provide that for me. I provide that for myself because that's my priority. Right. And so I think that that's important. You must be clear with your expectations. If you really desire a mate that is able to provide in a certain way and or come to the table with certain things, you need to be very clear with that in the dating stages.
Yeah.
In other words, don't be dating Jody. Okay. And you already know your expectation is to have someone that meets your level of upward mobility or goes beyond it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pastor?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So yeah, and those expectations, you know, they have to be set within yourself.
Yeah. It
You
starts
know,
with you before it gets to the
it
couple.
starts with you. And we would say at one time is don't expect something from someone else that you don't expect from others, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about that in this sense. But I think have realistic expectations.
I agree with that. I agree with that a lot, Pastor, because you know what? I didn't really have the expectation of you that you had of me, honestly.
Yeah.
I liked that you made good money. I mean, I liked it. I think it was nice. But I didn't have the expectation of like you have to keep going up. You gotta like you had the expectation of me, just to be clear. Because I know you out here taking the hit. Just to be clear, you had the expectation of me from the jump to like be double my salary. Like you were speaking those things. You had these expectations.
I knew your work. I knew your marketplace worth.
You knew my marketplace worth, but you didn't know what that was going to take. Okay. And so like I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. But you had high expectations. You expect where I am going now. You expected this. You were like, you could do it. You could keep going. Wow. Okay. So it's like, I didn't have those same expectations of you. I'm just like, okay, this is good. If this is a lifestyle that you want us to have, amazing. I'm not like a designer person. I'm not like a, designer shopping person. I don't really desire those things. Matter of fact, my anniversary gift, thank you, that we get to live in. I appreciate. It's not a dream that I've had. I never dreamed of having this. And so like I do think it starts with you, the expectation, but then also it goes with the couple because you then become one. And now our expectations merge in some ways.
I mean, for me, let me just level set a little bit. Just for me,
Sure.
I grew up in a 3-level home, three bedroom. It was single family home in DC.
Yeah.
And it set an expectation for me.
Sure.
Right. And I knew that when I was going to go out there on my own, I didn't want anything less than what I grew up in. That was just me.
Yeah. And to bring some perspective is like, when we met, I lived in a 3-story townhome on my own prior to me getting married. So I think for me, I was just like, I'm like, it's gonna be all right. Like I got this 3-level home. I had a humongous basement. Like I did not have an expectation of like, I need to outdo this or I need to do better than this. I kind of felt like I did it. Like I did it independently. Right. And so I think we were in different spaces of
Absolutely.
Expectation.
Had to be.
Yeah. I'm like, if from my perspective, I'm like, this townhouse is amazing. That's what I was like. I'm like, this townhouse is amazing. Partially because I was able to I was able to do that as a single woman. So like, I do think that, what we're emphasizing is that you can be in different places. And although he had the expectation, because I was ambitious, his expectation of career wasn't a big deal to me. I'm like, this good. Like, yeah, I like this. Let's keep going. He like, you could do more. I'm like, you think so? I don't really think so. And that's a true story. I never saw myself where I am now. But he always saw me where I am now. And I appreciate that difference in relationship, that you don't have to have someone who is, for example, in my case, I wasn't the person that was like, yes, I'm going to make these goals. But he saw me, like, he had an expectation. He saw me going, he saw my potential in ways I did not. And that's a part of the enhancement in a relationship.
So, kind of segueing from this though, with potential, if you're dating somebody that you see that they have the potential, but they may not necessarily know how to get to where they need to get
Yeah.
to in order to show their potential, do you help them find a job or career? Do you, as a mate, do you direct them in their career to help them?
Well, I think, Pastor Will, you have to have potential plus willingness. Okay, here we are. I think that we cannot help somebody unless you have willingness, right? And I think, using us as an example, I was willing. I was willing to put all of it in. We had very small kids when the boys were like 5 or 6 or whatever, when I started traveling for work. Right? Like, I was like, this is what it takes. You talking about we go to the next level. This is what the next level look like. I had to be willing to do some of those things. I had to be willing to have willingness to get some of that potential, right? Thank God I didn't have to do that for a long time. It's maybe 2.5 years, but don't make a difference. You got to have willingness. And so I think you don't go get nobody a job if they're not willing. You can't make somebody be who you want them to be. That is a caution.
Yeah. So do you?
They'll resent you.
So do you start throwing out suggestions? Well, such and so is hiring. Maybe you should try that. Maybe you should try this.
No. I think you be clear with your expectations from the get up. If you start off clear with your expectations, that like, look, will you tell me straight up? I expect my wife to work. That's what I'm looking for. I don't want like a stay-at-home wife. You tell me that straight up from the dating stage, child. So I understood that expectation up front, right? And like, I think that's a thing. Like, you can't, I would say it was one time when the first time I found you a job. I'm actually pretty good at that. One time, remember that time? One time. But remember that one time, we had just got married, right? It was a crazy time, right?
It was chaotic.
It was chaos, right? But I feel like the thing that made it okay was that you and I had talked prior to me, like, getting you a job. You lost your job. Everybody know this story. Y'all been on Dating God's Way before. Y'all know the story. Me and Pastor Will just got married. We just bought a new house, and boom, they fired Pastor Will. It was crazy. And Pastor Will was tripped out because he was like, I just got married and we just bought this house. He was tripped out, y'all. And Pastor E was like, Pastor, we need a job, child. I was like, we just bought this house. And so anyway, I was looking for jobs for Pastor Will, and one day I just got this thing. Call this company. They didn't even have no openings. Call this company and send them his resume, and that's where he got the job at. And he went on a job interview. He got the job and everything. They didn't even have nothing listed on their site. And so I think that because you and I had an understanding already, we could do things like that. There has to be the clear communication first before you just go out there finding people jobs. That's my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think you should just take it upon yourself
Mm-mm.
thinking you're helping somebody to help them advance in areas like you said. What about if they don't want to advance in that area? Maybe they're trying to do something else right now, and um, I think you make your own self frustrated when trying to m- meet somebody's potential
Yeah,
that they're not willing to do themselves.
yeah, yeah. Pastor Will, before we get to questions tonight, I would like to talk about the career stages. Because y'all know I love a good informational. Can I do that, Pastor?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, and so there are four stages of the kind of like four job stages, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna post them right here in our tonight. Establishment, that's a stage, advancement, maintenance, and withdrawal. Withdrawal, of course, should be retirement. Just to be very clear, we talking about tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Hallelujah. Okay. That's what we talk about tonight. Let's not talk about you just decide you don't want to work no more. And so okay. And so, I think it's important to understand, Pastor Will, as we're talking about career goals, is you need to understand what part a person is in, right? Like, for example, if you start a whole new career, you going back to establishment, right? Like, and so it's time and age does not mean that you are made it to advancement or made it to maintenance. It really is, kind of how you've established yourself in that career. If you're at establishment at the beginning, you're still establishing your career, if you're advancing in your career, if you're maintaining where you are now, or if you're getting ready for retirement. And I think that this is an important part of being able to communicate within a relationship of like, where are you? And being okay with maybe, look, this person is in establishment, or if a person is in advancement, understanding like that's going to mean something for our relationship. If a person is even in the dating stage, that person might be working more. That person might be, and so I think it's important to understand these stages. What do you think about that, Pastor?
I think this is good,
Uh-oh.
but now you got me in the mind of thought of, I, then we need to understand what's a career versus what's having a job.
Hey. Okay, I was using this job and career simultaneously, but I'll stop that if you like. I can stop that right now. I think that yeah, I think having a career is an intentional, it's an intentional journey where like having a job is just something you do to get paid.
Right.
Right. And so I should say career stages. Because that's that you very correct in what you're saying. Is there is a difference between having a job and a career.
Yeah.
A job is something you get paid to do. And maybe you're okay with just having a job, but
That's
you got to make
fine.
sure your mate is okay with you just having a job.
That's fine too.
Because I don't know. I don't I'll be honest. I don't think I would have been okay with you just having a job.
I tried it. You wouldn't let me do it.
I would not. That's correct. And so, I think like I didn't have an expectation of like how much you needed to make, but I did have an expectation of stability. And to me, a career brings stability, a job does not.
Mm.
So like I from my perspective, I wanted you, I didn't care about what you kind of cared about. I mean, I just want to say you did this. I'm gonna just give it to you. You did this. I'm still surprised at where I am career wise. Like I'm not done. And so thanks for that. Great job to you. But like from my perspective, I don't think I could have just been with somebody who was just going to work to get paid because there's no stability in that. And I think you have to be settled in that as a person, what you are really looking for in a mate.
Yeah, I think like that career is something that at some point is planned out,
Yeah.
and it's a line of succession for a line of personal succession,
Personal succession. Yeah.
right? the achievements and milestones,
Yes.
advancements, right?
Yeah.
Versus having a job. You know, you got somewhere to go, and that's great. You can have a job within a career. You can have a career at something and have jobs within it. But just to have a job, just going to work to get paid, and um, I would have to question: are you being fulfilled in that way?
Yeah.
You know, do you like getting up, going? I mean, not I can't say you're not going to like a job. You can always like a job, but does that job fulfill that desire you have in you for achievements, right?
Yeah. Or do you resent having to go to work every day? And then you resent your partner because now you got to go to work to pay the bills. Now you got like, those are the things that getting a job sometimes gets us in trouble with. Cause then people start resenting their mate. Cause like, I got to go to work to pay these bills. And it's like, young, like, how you gonna
Now,
take care of yourself anyway? So like, that's the job mentality that can get kind of crazy.
right, but hear this out also. Now
Yeah.
we do live in the urban area. We do live in a metropolitan area,
A metropolitan for sure.
where career and career advancement is wide open, pretty much for
Yeah.
almost
DMV.
everyone,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But there are some areas in the country where to have a desired career, you have to make the way yourself,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Or you have to, you have to go to the job
Travel to the city.
that everybody else is, kind of
Mhm.
the popular job
Yeah. The
that's
the
in that area.
factory, or you traveling
Factory.
out to the city to get a different type of job. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So
But you
yeah,
but it doesn't take away the fact that the person has to be okay with,
yeah,
like, that's your choice. And that's gonna be the choice when y'all get married. If
yeah,
y'all get married, that's gonna be the choice. That person gonna have a job and you need to be okay with that.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Particularly if you're a person that has a career. Then you have
yeah,
to be okay with you got a career and they got a job.
yeah,
Yeah. I think, that's it right there. That you have to be okay with. And look, usually this is on the women's side with a woman with the man, but I like tonight that it was on your side. You a man and you desired that. And so like I think it can go both ways. I think that's one of the things we're saying tonight is people like to put this in the traditional role of like the woman and the man or whatever, but we had the reverse of that and still have the reverse of that. I don't know. I still not like you need to go, 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 go. I'm not there. But I do like the stability that we have and you have in a career. That's nice.
yeah. It's really nice, and within the career I have, I can go anywhere,
Yeah, I like that.
when needed, and I think that's what a career has afforded me to have
Sure.
is the
Flexibility,
flexibility.
stability. Yeah,
Yeah,
flexibility, stability. And so
es-
like yeah.
especially as I'm thinking about changing careers. It's
Oh, that
going to be it's going to be interesting. That's why I need you to be the stable one in your career.
Y'all,
Amen.
we not doing it tonight, y'all. We not
Let
doing it with tonight.
let the church say amen.
We no, don't say it.
Say
I
it.
nobody said it in this room because
Say it.
none of our studio audience is agreeing with this. Our audience is getting off the hook,
Uh,
okay? And so our studio audience is really giving it up tonight. But no, I'm not in agreement with that. Okay, we have a lot of questions. Y'all,
I
you ready to get
see. I see this triggers some questions.
yeah. Okay, you ready to get into our questions?
Okay. Are you
Okay.
finished with your 4 points?
Yeah, I made my 4 points. I think you have to know where you are in those career stages. And you
Awesome.
have to just be clear about, are you okay with if your significant other only has a job and that's all they desire to ever have? You have to just be okay. It's not about one or the other. And I think that's just what I want to say is like this tonight, dating God's way is not about like your person got to have a career and da-da-da. It's up to the people. You may be okay with marrying a person that's an independent contractor their whole life. Okay, they have independent contractors. But let me just say this: not enough people think about what I'm saying right now, and they get into a whole bunch of foolishness.
Yeah.
They get into a whole bunch of foolishness because they married a 1099. He ain't got no benefits. She ain't got no benefits. And they like, now I'm carrying this person. I mean, people just get crazy, Pastor Will. These things have to be considered. Okay? They don't have no benefits. They don't pay their taxes because it's 1099. It's an independent consultant. So they just getting the cash. And now they, behind with taxes or whatever. I'm just saying, Pastor Will, all these things have to be thought about. You got to think about that just for yourself, but the person you're going to be dating or getting serious with.
When we were renting out our property,
yeah,
somebody applied, and pretty much they was just moving out their mama house.
Yeah,
they didn't have a rental history. Their rental history was their self-owned company.
Yeah,
that they barely had an income for.
Yeah,
and I think you do have to, as you advance in dating, I do think you have to check the application again, right? Especially these days.
Yeah.
So you can understand, yes, him or her, they smile really great, they smell really great, they look very nice, but what's on the application? What's presenting that you can't see?
Yeah. How we gonna live? How
you gonna live? And are you gonna be entangled in their debt and mismanagement, or in their lack of ambition?
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the things that the application can tell you. Those are the things that the external oh yeah, the car stay clean, house stay power washed, everything stay good. But what's behind all of that as you get further and what's behind you as you get further in the relationship, right?
Yeah.
Not only them, but what's behind you.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's not to say these are the red flags, but you got to go in with your eyes wide open.
Yeah, it can be. So we need to know, because it can be.
Right. You got to go in.
It can be because of what you desire.
Right. You can't.
You like eating steak every night, and Pastor Will knew that about me from the beginning. I like steak and potatoes. Period. Crab cakes, lobster tails. Okay, I was feeding myself like this. So you knew that from the beginning, Pastor Will.
And some things are going to present themselves right in your face, and you have the power to say, okay, I can handle that.
Yeah.
And you have the power to say, you know what, I think this is a little too much for me. I can't handle this. This is too expensive for me.
Yeah, you too much. All right, let's get to these questions, because we so what about if you have different priorities? Do you have to have the same priorities to get married, or be on the same page about career?
This is when I say you have to come to terms. You have to come to terms within yourself to say, okay, you know what, even though our priorities don't align, that I'm okay with that. And are you okay with it? Right. And sometimes it's good to have different priorities, but have the same values. Because when you have different priorities, one person can do whatever they need to do, while another person stays solid and handle it down if need be. But yet you have the same values about, you know what, it might not be my priority, but that's pretty important.
For example, I will use us as an example in that, Pastor Will like making big purchases. Like that's like a priority for him at certain time periods, right? But it's not a priority for me. I'm mostly like, I don't really value that, or I don't really prioritize that, right? And so because we are like that, then we don't get crazy. It's like I prioritize like traveling, things like that, right? I try to do it in a lean way, but because those priorities are different, then we can, sometimes bring balance to each other in different areas like that. So I think priorities don't have to be the same, as Pastor Will said, but but you do have to be able to get on the same page. And I think that is very important.
And I think that the dangerous thing with that priority is taking away their priority, right? If they feel like something is a priority and something is urgent, you don't take it away from that. I don't think you take it. I wouldn't
No,
take it away from that
no, you
person.
don't take it away.
I would, like I said, I would value it.
Yeah.
Like she like she said, she liked trips. I don't like trips as much, right?
No.
But I value trips. So some trips I go on, and some trips I say, hey, you go ahead on.
Yeah.
Right.
And I go, y'all.
Right. It's her priority. And you know what? And she learned how to respect me saying no. At first it was a little rough. It was like, you just don't want to go nowhere. You just want to be a homebody. You just don't want to do this, do that. It's like, yo, like,
that's who I am.
That's who I am. But you know what? Like I said, sometimes you have to submit, bite the bullet, and go on a trip and be okay. And you know, it's all right.
Yeah, I think the thing about that is like you was like, we'll do one trip together. I like that. Our anniversary trip. That used to be our thing, our anniversary trip. And I like that. But I wanted to travel more than that. So I took the boys on trip. That's it.
Yeah, she take the boys, take her girlfriend, whatever.
Sometimes I take one of them. I want to go multiple trips. I take one of them at a time and do what they want to do. Right. And so like, I think that's how you stay on the same page, but not hindering the person that has a different priority, but also not making that person get on your priority. Okay, I'm not gonna make Pastor Willie turn into a travel person because he's not. I'm not doing it. But me and David, come on here. Okay, my youngest son, we will do it. Okay, and me and my girlfriends, we will do it. And so I had to give way to that.
I love the islands. I love blue water. Only for a day. After that's 2-3 days. True. I gotta come back to this Potomac River. I gotta see the brown water.
It's a thing, y'all. We talk about we have to see the brown water. It made me so tired, y'all. I mean, the trip just getting good. I'm like, the trip just getting good. He like, I'm ready for the brown water. I'm like, already?
I need to see that brown water.
Like, you ready for the brown water already? Okay, but anyway, I know that's gonna happen. So I do try to plan our trip around that. Get the good part in first. Okay. So what if they said they were willing, but then snatched back the willingness? I think, this is also with dating stages, right?
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the dating stage, everybody's saying everything to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
And that's why you need time. Because everybody's saying everything to make everybody happy, to be together, and particularly when you don't have that emotional intelligence we talked about last week, you don't know how to differ with people and not feeling like they're not going to like me. They're not going to love me. I ain't going to never get nobody if I don't compromise out on my whole life. And so I think, some of that is you have to watch out for that. Are you being agreeable because you want to stay together? Or are you being honest and this is what you want to do? And then watch their actions, right? Like as Pastor Will said, he had expectations, but I had career ambition before I met him. I was moving around before I met Pastor Will. Okay, I was going from opportunity to opportunity. And so you also watch patterns. Have they been like this before or never? And if it's never, then that might be a snatchback because they just saying that because they think that's what they want, but they haven't really tried it out yet. So I think that's what you were watching at. What did you think about that, Pastor?
Man, I'm stuck on snatch back that willingness because
got the snatch back, child.
Snatch back. Because that's a real thing. Like, especially the beginning of relationship or marriage. Everything is I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in. Until you find yourself exhausted because this is not who you were. I think, once you're in a relationship, you do have to always do temperature checks.
Temperature checks, yeah.
To see, okay, where are we with this?
Yeah.
Where are we with this?
We had to do a lot of them.
Yeah.
We had babies in the midst of our career advancement. So we
Yeah.
had to do a lot of like, is this what we still doing? Like, particularly when I jumped from manager to director, we had to do David was a actual baby. Like I just had David. And that's when my opportunity came. My opportunity came when David was like 3 months old. So I had to be straight up with you and say, look, is this what we doing? Are you sure this what we doing? Because this about to get crazy.
Yeah.
Remember it got crazy, boo?
Yeah. So at some point in the relationship, there is a true revealing of who that person is truly, and the things that they did for the sake of the relationship. Because we do many things before the sake of the, especially early on in the relationship. We do many things for the sake because we really like you, and
Yeah.
the way your eyes are the color that I like, and and everything. So yes, I'm willing to do everything, but then your looks become common.
That's true. That's true. I see you every day.
I
That's
see
true.
you every
I know with
day.
that mole at, that gray hair, the whole thing.
And you know what? I really don't like McDonald's. I really don't like fast food. Their willingness to do certain things is natural. It
Yeah.
changes.
Remember like I used to feed you steak every night? Cause I
Yeah,
liked it. But you
you
was
like
like,
it.
boo, I don't want that no more, boo. I was like, oh man. Yeah,
I,
child.
I was only doing it to appease you, boo. I'm sorry. Well, yeah. But because they snatched their willingness back, doesn't mean that they like you even less. It just means that they are revealing a little bit more of themselves, or you're
Your true self.
of your true self.
Well,
Now,
but
yeah,
yeah, Cavazzi said factuation. But
true.
I
That's
do
right, son.
think
That's true.
I do think that those are the areas where you have to get agreement. There's some areas where you have to get agreement, and career is one. The type of life we gonna live, you can't snatch that back. Look, hey y'all, you can't snatch back the life we about to live. Because I remember, our studio audience, they going. You can't snatch back a lifestyle change. Like that joint is, y'all. One time, Pastor Will, he asked me, he's talking about, you can stop working. This when the boys was small babies. I was thinking about it. Kid was just Kaylin at that time. And he said, you can start working, but we moving to an apartment. I said, the devil is alive. We was in a 3-bedroom home, child. I'm like, what? A single family home. He's talking about you can start working, but we're going down to a 2-bedroom apartment. I said, the devil? And so anyway, I'm just saying, oh yeah, ain't no crash, right? I'm just saying that you can't snatch back the lifestyle. And that's what I would have been doing if I stopped working. We bought that house together. So if I snatch back the willingness at that point, I would have been making a lifestyle change. That's true, right, Pastor?
Yeah. Kind of, when I think of this,
Yeah.
I think of, what about if I chose to, after I met you, I met you kind of at the beginning of my career.
Yeah.
At my beginning of my career in IT.
Yeah.
And if I would have said, you know what, after we got married, I would have pulled a wait until exhale. You know what? I don't want to work for this company anymore. I want to go be a musician. I want to go live my dream of being a rock star.
Yeah, Pastor. I mean, I thank God, okay, that you didn't do nothing crazy like that. But I think at the end of the day, you should say beat the horse, but we beat that horse to death, right? And I think you do have to have some conversations over and over. If it's important to you, you have to have those conversations over and over again.
Absolutely.
And we had that conversation over and over, mostly because you wanted to make sure I was on board. And in turn, then I'm like, okay, well, what you doing then? Are you on board? Right? Is this going to be your career? And so I think, you have to be repetitive about some things, particularly like children or kids and certain things that If a person seems shaky boots, like I don't really know if I want to have kids, and you know you want to have 10 kids, it might be a no. We don't have alignment about something that's important to me.
I wanted to be a rock star.
That's what got somewhere. Okay, here we go. Here goes another question. What if they're willing but aren't open to receiving help because they're used to doing things on their own? Then they're not ready for a relationship.
Yeah, I don't think they're willing.
What that lady say? You're not eligible. Okay, the little lady that be on WYCB show, you're not eligible. I think that brings your eligibility back. Because at the end of the day, if I'm your spouse or your partner, like when Pastor Will lost his job, if Pastor Will would have said, well, you know, yeah, you found me this job, but I'm unwilling to take the position and I'm going to let us go on with it. I'm like, wait a minute, you're not ready for this.
But you know what? But, you know, yes. But here's what I say about help. I only can help you in the way that you would like help. So if you need help, well, how would you like help? Not me kind of overcasting the way I help over you.
Look, I think that's true, Pastor Will, but let's just get into it. In our case, we was married, and at that moment, you didn't want to do nothing.
That's not true. I was applying. I was on unemployment. I was on the job bank. That is not true.
That's the will. I'm talking about your frame of mind at the moment. You was like, I'm willing to work at McDonald's. I'm willing to do anything. You had a different.
I had a wife.
I know, but I'm just saying.
I had a wife in a new house. I had to work at McDonald's.
You did not have to work at McDonald's because your wife found you a job. But
I had to work until I found a job. I had to work at McDonald's. If I could have got a job at McDonald's,
never had to work at McDonald's. Pastor, well, stop this stuff.
I was humbling myself to go and get a shift at McDonald's. It was right down the street. As a matter of fact, this very McDonald's that's right down the street now from me now. It's that same McDonald's that I was willing to go work at because I needed to make sure that I was bringing finances into the house, even if it was only $3.35 an hour.
Pastor, well, you need to stop. You need to stop right now because this is crazy talk. This is crazy talk. This is crazy talk. You were not thinking in the way I was at that moment as receiving help, but you agreed that the career thing you agreed prior. So we had something to go back to. That's true, because I would not like you to take a job at McDonald's. That did happen in real life.
No, you wouldn't let me. You wouldn't let me, but it doesn't say that I wasn't going to go apply.
Now before I can find you that job, that's it. I'm calling everybody. I prayed in tongues. I'm like, look, give me the right company. That's it. So I think if you are in this stage of this question prior to marriage, you're not ready to get married.
But they're not receiving help?
That's correct. Your partner is literally your helpmate. Or you are your partner's helpmate. So you need to receive help so that you can be a helpmate. I was just telling this story today. When the boys were younger, you know, we had some challenges and different things came up or whatever. And I didn't have a community around me that was facing the same challenges I was. You know, dealing with things like advancement or whatever when your kids are small. And so I joined support groups. And a lot of those women did not look like me. They were not my same color. Some of them were not my same age. A lot of them were 10 years, 15 years older than me. I had to receive help on how to think about that point. I couldn't talk to you about that because you're not a woman. And you're not breastfeeding in the middle of meetings. I had to pump milk and stuff in the middle of my meetings. From an HR perspective, I need to know, what do I need to do? I'm in meetings for 3 hours. And so I had to go to support groups, people that look like this. That's it. So if you're not ready to receive help, you cannot be in a relationship with others, Pastor. That's crazy.
But what I'm saying is that how you help matters.
how you help matters, but
How
at
you
any
how
cost.
you help, and I don't think you over dominate somebody with the way you choose to help, because
No, I agree with that.
that's not helping.
I agree with that,
That
but
that might be taking away some of their dignity.
that's true.
So
Their
so I
dignity
I
and their
think
choice.
it's
I agree.
so I think so for me, I would approach this as, hey, I can help you with this. How would you like how would you like my help?
Mhm, mhm.
And
And
I'm not going to assume they don't want it because they're used to doing their own things.
it depends. It depends on the situation. If it has to do with our livelihood, we helping each other however we got to. I'm just saying, Pastor, like, I hear what you're saying, and that's good for dating. But once we get to the marriage stage, we gonna do what we gotta do to help each other.
But see, but even in this, even after I ran into dead ends and I was applying for computer, like I
Yeah.
said, I was on the job bank, Virginia job bank, Maryland job
Mhm.
bank, and you ran into that company or whatever. You said that, hey, I'm gonna call these people and I'm gonna send you a resume here or whatever.
Sure. I asked you
Like,
first. I
you
did.
asked me,
I
and I
did.
said okay,
That's true.
right?
That's true.
Uh,
But
Why
you were
not?
willing. We're
Right?
talking
I
about
was
somebody who isn't
right.
open.
But you asked me,
Yeah.
how can you help? You This is the way you were going to said
Yeah.
okay,
That's true.
right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to get to. It's not that I wasn't willing or somebody's willing. Is you didn't overstep. And I'll
Don't
say,
overstep boundaries. Yeah.
not only overstep boundaries, but you didn't contend with my pride to make me feel bad or worse than what I was,
No.
because I mean, because for the simple fact, even if I was going to go, even schools with they help you do the same thing. They send your resume to. I mean, so it wasn't it's what I was used to. I was used to, career counselors sending out my resume or making these cold calls or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah.
Got you. So what if the person wants to receive certain things to grow in their career, but they don't have time to study the material for it? How can they prioritize between work and ministry and making time to study the material they need to help them grow in their career?
This is a good question.
Yeah, it's a great question.
This is a good question because I'm my career is based off of certifications, right?
For sure.
Staying up to date on technologies and certs, and it do gets cumbersome with ministry and and the material, and then you have family and all that and all those other things. But it goes back to what I was saying before, is like, or what we were saying before, is you have to prioritize, and you have to put things in a swim lane or put things in their box and say, you know what, I'm in agreement, and everything else in my life is in agreement with this. For this period of time, I'm on search, and that means that everything else has to take a proverbial back seat to my study time, right? So I got to make sure all my other areas are covered, and I got to make sure everybody in my other areas know what I'm doing, because then they know when I'm coming back. I just don't leave them hanging, but they know when I'm coming back. So I'm studying I'm doing the search, and I'm knocking the search out the way,
Yeah, I
because I
think
know I can do that for 2 to 3 months, and I'll be done with it.
yeah, I think Pastor Will, what you're talking about a time period, is it's a time period when you're gonna get through this degree or certifications or all those things, right? But I will say, from my perspective, I think this also depends on the person, right? Like, I got my executive leadership certification last year. And so I prioritized things and made sure that I was intentional about how I prioritize working, ministry, and family. And so I think, yes, it is dependent on the person and the proverbial backseat, as you call it. I think, just being intentional is the main thing. Intentional with how you are studying the material and how you are prioritizing things is sometimes it's the proverbial backseat, sometimes it's the intentionality. it can be either or.
Now, ministry hardly for me. Ministry hardly takes a back seat.
Ministry never takes a back seat.
No, but there may be some activities or some events I may not can make it.
Sure.
As ministry is regarding ministry, especially if I'm not leading, if I'm more in a going somewhere to
just visiting, or you not
just visiting, if I'm not really involved, and I may let the ministry lead know about what I'm doing with my time, so I can stay accountable to that. It's not that I'm taking off and I'm staying at home and I'm not cracking open the book, right? If I say this is what I'm doing, then I'm doing what I'm doing,
right?
Because and that's accountability. Because maybe nobody's watching me, but I know God is watching.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. So, accountability, integrity is important.
And we talking. This is dating God's way. So.
Yep. How do you start the conversation if you're not dating? Not at anything at the moment. Start the conversation with who? Yourself, or
just like you're not dating, but you might be looking, or you're getting yourself out there to date.
Okay, so the question is about how do you start this conversation? I think you have the first. Go ahead.
What you want to start this conversation with a stranger?
Yeah, I think that's important to just state. You. Oh, at the friendship stage. Do you do this at the friendship stage? I think no. I think it's too much for the friendship stage, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because now you like putting an expectation on somebody that don't matter. Wow. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. I gotta give it it's getting late. Y'all know how fast it get. But like they don't really matter in your life as a person right now. Like they're not doing life with you, this, that. So I think you have to be very careful about things like this, because some people take advantage of it. Some people take advantage about your vulnerabilities and your desires. And that's how people get in your pants. So be careful.
Yeah. Because I mean, I could hook you, especially if I'm in one of those fields, because I got into it because I can hook you. Then I can hook you with my occupation. I can hook you with my career, and you be like, "Oh, you doing this?" And oh, he's such a good person. Oh, he's such a good guy. He got all that going on, and really, what I got going on is so I can hook you.
Right. Because I'm gonna tell y'all straight out, before I met Pastor Will, I met quite a few IT guys, and that was their draw. Wow. They make a lot of money. They got these contracts. They on this contract, that contract. That's a DMV thing. Maybe any metropolitan city. I don't know. I don't live in DMV, but that's a thing. So you start talking that desire, you might get something that you don't desire. Get hooked up. Get hooked in. Okay, let's go to our next question. We over time. From an HR standpoint, is it better to be fired or just to resign, not to have a demerit on your record? So from the HR standpoint, I think that it's a couple of things about depending on the situation that you're in. I think that if you can, if you can find unemployment reasons to leave your job, and I would look that up. What are some of the unemployment things that pass the unemployment test to leave your job? Then you should do that, because if not, then you forego unemployment if you just quit. In most cases, you will be denied unemployment. So I think you have to think about that. But also from an HR perspective, sometimes you can have a conversation with your employer, and you may be able to talk about some things that's not working in the job, and have a mutual agreement, and that may also be a willingness to allow you to get unemployment. So I think communication in this space is really important, and that's one of the ways that you may be able to do it in a way that doesn't cause a demerit. For example, if there's a family reason, if there's a medical reason, any of those things are things that can happen. I want to give a quick story about HR. One time I had an employee. This was a very long time ago, so if anybody watching this, but a very long time ago, but had a medical issue and quit the job, and they worked on my team. I was like, don't you know you could have just told me, and like we could have helped you. Like we could have given you like a family medical leave. We could have like there were things that could have been done for this person from an HR perspective. Talk to HR before you make a decision like this, because there may be something that you're missing, a benefit that you get as an employee that you could be missing.
Yeah. I mean, I, I'll I'm not talking from any kind of professional point of view here, so I'm gonna just talk from a Willie wisdom point of view. Uh, but just because you resign without getting fired doesn't mean that stuff doesn't go into your record while you getting fired, right? Your record is your whatever they put in that jacket,
HR file.
your HR file, that's in there. Um, so yeah, I think I think you talk to some kind of like HR professional, or you talk to it's whoever have whoever talk to an HR professional, or talk to an employment lawyer or whatever. See what they can do to keep their record clear of whatever that the company is trying to file in their jacket. And sometimes if it's wrongful termination, sometimes it's hang in there, let them terminate, and then sue them later.
Yeah, you gotta have documentation though.
But you gotta have
Talk to our
documentation.
HR professional, because we can't get into all that on this show.
Yeah, talk to HR,
particularly
talk
if
to
it's
HR
HR legal.
professional, talk to an attorney.
Yes. Okay, so when you're dating, when do you have these conversations, and when do you actually have agreement? Is agreement about lifestyle the commitment stage, or you're just exploring how you think about these things during dating? Great question. I think it's a little bit of both. And as you get in the dating stage, I think it's important to start having some of these conversations, because early on you might see we don't have alignment on some really important things, and that might be a deal breaker for me. It would be really hard to get to the commitment stage, and you already know that, for example, this person never want to be married. So what we dating for? Okay, right? Like, so it's like certain conversations you should have during the exploring stage to see if you're to go to the commitment stage, right? And so I think that those conversations have to happen, not friendship stage, okay? But sometimes, particularly before you go to a next stage, you want to start having some of these type of conversations. Anything from you, Pastor?
Yeah, you want to start having these type of conversations in that stage, where you are now becoming serious. You're doing some planning together, some future planning together. After you visited the amusement parks a few times together, and then you start talking about okay, so where are you in your career? Where am I in my career? These are the things that I want to do. um I want to travel the world. I want to relocate. I want to do all these things. Can you see yourself in that vision with me?
Yeah,
Is there an
laying out
agreement
that
there?
vision.
Yeah, is there an agreement there? Or can there be an agreement there at some point? I believe that if at one time in our relationship, I was like, I wanted to move down south, and he was like, hey, I don't never want to move back down south again. And then and then we got an opportunity to possibly relocate to Charlotte, and she was all on board, and I couldn't find a job, and so we didn't do it. So uh, so there were these places of where we didn't agree, but then we found a place where we could agree, but it just didn't happen. So but neither one of those were like
Deal breakers.
or you lost your willingness, or you changed your mind.
Yeah, they were in the fungible areas. So you have to know
Yeah,
what the fungible areas are. Some things
yeah.
are not fungible, and like you have to be. Those are the deal breakers. You have to be
Thank you.
honest about.
There you go.
Yeah. You gotta be
Yeah.
honest. You gotta be honest. Okay, what if your partner wants a career, but you don't necessarily want a career? You want to work for yourself, but your partner wants you to have a career.
Well, working for yourself is a career. That's a self. That's a
Yeah, that
self-owned.
entrepreneurship is a career.
It's a career. I mean, so yeah, but your partner won't see it like. Yes, that's true. Your partner may not see it like that because they see having a career. It's not stable because
It's
having your
not
own
stable.
business is sometimes the fluctuations of not having business that week or that month affects your pockets,
Yeah, just to
right?
be clear, right? Our brother-in-law who came on this show talked about how he's an entrepreneur. He's always had his own business. And so they had to go through the ups and downs of that.
Yeah.
Right? The big sometimes like woo, then they talked about the big times, then sometimes like woo. Okay. And so you have to be willing to your partner has to be willing to go through those things.
Yes.
But also it depends on the personality. Because as y'all met my brother-in-law, he is a hustler.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they wasn't gonna be without long. Like at some point he got a job. Like, I'm just saying, like, he was going to work for it. So it's also personality that can get into those things as well. Don't you think, Pastor?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow,
Good
this was a
question.
riveting
Good
Dating
question.
God's Way. A riveting.
Good
Our studio
question.
audience says it was a riveting.
Awesome.
A riveting Dating God's Way tonight. Careers and goals, ambitions, potential, and willingness. Upward mobility. You got to have these discussions with yourself first. You got to be clear about what you want before you care first. Come on. Before you understand what somebody else wants. I always want care first. Here we go. I didn't want the health insurance. I always want care first. Okay. And so you have to be clear about your desires in a relationship, job or otherwise. Hey.
Any other questions? Y'all good?
Wow. I liked your topic tonight, Pastor Way. It was fun.
Awesome.
It was fun. Really little intense, but fun. Better get a little intense.
Awesome. Well, we've going on 22 years of marriage now.
Yeah.
And thank God that those moments of where we had to put something down so another thing can take a hit.
Yeah.
That those moments are over now because our priority has aligned. We have the same priority, especially with ministry, is making sure that ministry is strong. At the end of the day, the work of the Lord is our agreement.
Yeah.
That would never, that we agreed that would never take a hit. And so but it took 20 something years or 15 plus years to get here.
Yeah.
So all is not lost if you come into these questions.
Yeah.
If your relationship come into these questions or come into these,
you already married and you into these questions. If you already married,
if you're already married, all isn't lost. All isn't lost. Is hey,
agreement.
God is doing something in your relationship.
Get into alignment.
Get into alignment and agreement, and it's all good. Well, family, this is end our time tonight. Oh, we ran a little over tonight.
Yeah, about 20 minutes. Blessings, everybody.
Amen.
Good to see you guys tonight. Love you guys. This was Dating God's Way.
Love you too. Impact. Hey, join us Wednesday night for Bible study.
Yes. So glad to be back.
We got more guests coming up soon. More guests on Dating God's Way. We'll be at it again every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. for live discussions.